What's up and welcome back, guys, to the What's Up podcast. It's great to have you guys back here. I am here on a Wednesday night and we're welcoming back the man, the myth, the legend, Daniel Wharakura from Warriors Anonymous. We scheduled this, guys, when we did our last one, which was around that time of the Raiders, the first bye, I think the second bye, and we said we'd come back and do it again. So I'm excited to have him on the podcast tonight. Brother, how are you going? How's everything going down your end of the country? Everything good?
Kia ora te whānau. Yeah, cold's finally hit what I've been calling the Barcelona of the South. That's Wellington. Yeah, it's finally caught up with us, but now we all good, man. Been focusing on the Oval Ball. The FIFA Women's World Cup's been on down here as well, so getting along to that, which is cool. Obviously always tracking NRL, what's going on, but as I was saying before, bro, with this bye, it feels like all the Wās whānau just had a little bit of a reset, a little bit of a freshen up before we smack it down for the last 5 games before playoffs.
Yeah, no, exactly, man. I was pretty much the same as well. Just had a little bit of a break from the old content, but it's been very refreshing, and we've got a clear plan going forward. So no, very nice, man, and we'll get more into detail about that, guys, as we go along. But run sheet for tonight, guys, is we're going to get straight into the preview of the Titans game. Then we're going to look at the next 4 games, like just map them out, see what Daniel thinks. We'll get into a little ladder predictor. I've got a little pull it up, and we'll do a ladder predictor together on the NRL.com page. And then we're going to do just any concerns or anything that may pop off that we can think of. So it's going to be a brief, short and sharp one, in theory, but we might get carried away as we usually do. But we'll get started anyway, guys, and we'll get into it. Okay, guys, fresh off a bye, we're all ready and reset to go as fans, and I'm sure the boys are as well. Look, we're up against the Titans again this Friday night, 8 p.m. New Zealand time, in C-Bus in the GC. Fresh off a bye, even, and potentially looks like Jazz is in the mix as well. But what do you think, bro, off the top? Having Jazz there in the 18th man, do you kind of see him getting a go this weekend, or what do you think the plan that Webby might be cooking up?
Yeah, good question. I haven't caught anything, and I know still, obviously two days away from the game, but clearly he wasn't put into Cup, so they feel like he doesn't need a run in Cup. They feel like he can go straight in, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see him make the bench. And I'm just trying to think against the Titans whether having a Bunty versus having a Jazz would be a better option, and I think actually if he's fit and ready to go, get him out there. So I'd be keen to see Jazz. It's been a wee while, eh?
Yeah, I think it's it has been a long time since that Melbourne game. I think there's a few options there, in terms of a style you can play. Obviously, Jazz is more of a middle forward, so he will be working in those middle channels, similar to Dylan and Bunty and that. I suppose now it gives us another option if we want to have a kind of a middle strong type bench, or like you said, we can mix it up with maybe even a Sirinen, or because it's got Sirinen and Curran there right now. Do you think that's one of those two drop off to get Jazz in, or do you think it's more of a Bunty replacing a middle for a middle? Or
well, I've been thinking about it, pondering that kind of since the announcing is coming back. So hard to say. So I naturally just thought Bunty, because when we have our top side out there available, and we're obviously fortunate to have AFB and Mitchie Barnett middles that play big minutes, the Bunty role is 20-22 minutes, right? The first stint off the off the side of the game, which is an important stint, and I think people have maybe midway through the season realise how important Bunty is into that rotation. But again, generally he doesn't come back, so it's only sort of a 20-minute role he plays. So I did think perhaps Jazz comes back, but then I think the movement around. I think I've been thinking about it a bit. So in terms of size, if we want bigger middles compared to Jazz, does a Niakore come in for a spell in the middle to give Curran some time on the edge as well? Because obviously you got Curran there. And the only thing for me with Ciro is he just seems to be that cover right across the board. So, rather than having Walker and Jazz having to fill in at 9, they're not. I don't believe they don't. They're not as comparable as Wade Egan. I think Ciro has the ability to play the style Wade can, just in case we do lose Wade for a little bit, or at least need to spell Wade. So, yeah, my pick would be Jazz comes in for Bunty, because it's a few more options, but it does mean perhaps Tohu and Marata have to, spend more time at prop perhaps. So that's just my whakaaro on it, bro.
Yeah, I think that a lot of the things I've been thinking about is limiting Tohu and Adams minutes while winning. I mean, winning's you keep them out there for 80 if the game's not, done and dusted. So you obviously trying to maximise winning, but I think you can find a bench where you can take a few of those minutes off. I noticed Tohu dropped at maybe 60 minutes and Adam played around 65 or something like that. That might be a good number to manage their their workload going into the finals. I know Webby's talked about that too. Is it's about finding the time and place to kind of get Tohu off the field. And I think they're slowly going to start getting to that.
Yeah.
But do you think it's a bit of that as well, managing their minutes, getting them off the field a little bit?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there's been some chat that they're going to continue to play the best team week in, week out, for combinations and all the rest. But yeah, and I know there's some chat that Webby hasn't looked at the ladder or anything like that. Just focus game at a time. But there's going to come time in the next 5 weeks, that you just have to think, if we really want to have a serious shot, we're going to have to, rest some of these guys where possible. But I know obviously gunning for that top 4 spot. So I think in game, we've seen that the opportunity when we had been fortunate to be up by a few. And I know it's not always the case in an NRL game that you get time to do that, but they've shown that they could rest key players. And that's great also for those bench players, because we all know, we'll talk about it later, injuries in key positions, you need next man up, and those next men have to have had, some competitive game time.
Yeah, no, very good point. And even another thing is, I was looking at the starting team, and it's probably one of the best starting teams we've had available this year. Obviously, Newcourt comes back off the HIA. Metcalf settling into his role. The back 5 seems very solid. How do you feel about that starting 13? Do you think that's probably, if you're going to go into a finals without, obviously Tamaiti probably not going to be there at this stage, are you quite happy with that starting lineup with more so Barnett in there starting?
Yeah, bro.
Yep.
Yeah, fire, man. Like, this is the team that probably after the early rounds, when we started to accumulate those injuries really early on, Tohu's obviously managed that knee issue from early on. Mitchie was out for his neck injury, and we just had a roll of key players out, and at times in game. So I think for all us Waz fans, this is the moment where we're like, actually, we're going to have our best side out. Yes, Tamaiti is still out, but I think fans are comfortable knowing that the way Luka Mikiafu, Mr. Metcalf's playing, there's question whether he would also, command that spot at the moment as well, and I think, he rightly could be. So, yeah, with Jazz coming back, knocking on the door, not only just our best 13, close to our, best 17 on the day.
Yeah, no, I'm totally with you, man, and I think transitioning into kind of the Titans, and obviously I think as Warriors fans, we were excited that they knocked off the Cowboys, but not so much excited that we were playing them the following week. I suppose they've got a bit of confidence about them. Who do you kind of see in their lineup that can kind of cause a bit of a threat this coming Friday?
I mean, I just said, from watching that game, and I did watch that game as well, that not just new players, I mean, Fafita, like always, like he had a barnstorming game this year that he's known to have. No, but his level this year has been so much better, right? So his involvements, and obviously he made his way back into Origin, but he's just one guy that you can never sleep on, you can never clock off on, because he can have a game where he can break 15 tackles and score 2 solo efforts, right? And that can really kill you. So I think they're always going to be wary about that. But it's not necessarily a player. Maybe it's their edges, their wings, I should say. Like, what I really noticed is that fast shift they have out of tackle 2, tackle 3. That they're not afraid to shift the ball, and when they get to the edges, they have some electric pace as well. So that's how they got the Cows last week. So I think we're going to have to be very mindful, because we actually were susceptible to that against the Raiders, right? Very last minute, they caught us like that as well. So that scares me. And then you throw in a couple of boys, like Brimson's, I think, battling an injury to be available. He's an Origin player, and Preston Campbell's son. I keep forgetting his name.
Jaden Campbell.
Yeah, it's widely touted how he can't be a starting fullback across the NRL, well, within the Titans, but he'd walk into a lot of those teams. That guy's electric. There's not much to him, but he can move, So yeah, they got some attacking outlet that we need to be mindful of.
Yeah, I think the edges actually would be a good test for them. Pompey's been burnt sometimes. Berry and Dallin can kind of get their judgment wrong. This is a great game to kind of rectify that or match it, and it'll be a good game for those edges to kind of really get tested out wide. We can all break down Canberra's attack was just poor. They had so much ball. I think a better team would have found more tries for sure. So this is a good chance, I think, where the edges will get tested thoroughly, and especially with speed men that they have. I think it's a really good one. I look at the forward pack, and I think a bit of experience. Isaac Liu there. Fafita, obviously. Fotuaika's always solid. Origin player as well. Verrills has been pretty good in my eyes. But going down that bench further, it is kind of young guys coming. Cleese Haas, I think that's Payne Haas's brother. And Faisal Malawi, Isaac, I think, is his younger brother as well. So kind of a little bit of inexperience there. And that's kind of where I see, us getting on top. Do you kind of see that as well? Similar type of thing?
Yeah, I think, just the way the Titans have played this season, they can definitely put points on, but we know that they can fade in games. And I think midway through the season, I think there's a stat there: if games are only played for 40 minutes, they would be on top of the table because of the way they were winning. But obviously, couldn't close it out in the second half. So that obviously talks to resilience, but I think it also talks to that middle, ability to get on top of them in the middle. And I think that's going to be the secret weapon for us, right? We've got forward pack that can, very mobile, play big minutes, high energy, and we'll keep rumbling. And it might be, sort of the 60-minute mark where we just kind of overpower them, and just make massive inroads in the middle. So I think that's where our strength is versus where they are.
Yeah, I've said the same. I think just people have to deal with our middles. The way we play through the middle is just it's unless you can deal with it. And I'm talking like teams like Panthers, Rabbitohs, all those guys. If you can't cope with that middle work that we do with Adam and Tohu and Dylan, you're going to be a long day. So I'll be interested to see how long they can hold out for. And saying that for our boys, I would just stress the middles as much as I can until, don't do that. I think you saw in the Raiders, we did a few early shifts and it was, we knocked the ball on, gave possession away. I'd be more inclined to just play through the middle, get to a kick, grind it out, push, kind of the game plan we have. Going off the back of that, what is the score prediction you kind of have in terms of how this game will end out?
Yeah, I'm predicting not as close as last week, week 4, but yeah, I easily think we can score 30 points, 32 odd points. I think that will be in the latter end of the game. So I'm thinking, say, anywhere between 30 to 18. I think we can limit them. Yes, we've got to deal with the edges, but I think our Warriors resilience DNA that's kicking in will hold us up. So 30-18, I'd be very happy.
Do you see a slow start? We've had kind of after each bye, I think of the Broncos game ended in a loss, but it was a very kind of mixed start. the Dragons game off the bye took us a while to get into that game, but we eventually got on top. Do you think kind of similar way coming off the bye, just getting our feet again, or do you think just pure dominance here?
Probably in between. I think, I'd like to think they learned from that situation, that last bye, and then obviously, taking on a Broncos team or the baby Broncos team with 5 Origin or 4 Origin players out. So you've got to think, have we learned from that situation? And at the same time, I think the style of team they are and what they've done more recently being the Cowboys would just put everyone on notice as well. Rather than coming into a game being like, not complacent, but
Yep.
hey, look, they just, Cowboys have been the form team in the last 8 weeks of the comp, or alongside us. I think we're very, very close. But they just, they beat the Cowboys. So I think that narrative probably helps to shake the kind of rust out a little bit. But I wouldn't be surprised if the first 20 minutes is a little bit more of an arm wrestle. And I just think we know and they know we can go deep. They haven't shown the ability this season to just stick with the good teams.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm thinking something similar as well. I want to kind of see a really solid defensive effort, so I would love to see like a 32-12. 2 tries in my mind would be great, but I do think it's a 13 plus. And I think, like you say, we'll get into the grind. It'll be an arm wrestle, and then slowly, the deeper you go into the murky waters, that's when things will just get more difficult for the Titans. So, totally with you, man. I think that wraps up, guys, the preview up part of it. We're going to go now into the next 4 games, so we'll move into that little segment right now. Okay, my man. I know it's kind of, as a fan base, we're just so excited, but we do feel, that our boys are going to go on a run here. We feel quite quietly confident, but excited. I mean, it's like kind of a kid going out on his first date. He's amped up. But I think there's kind of a bit of validity to that. We can see a resilient team. Like defensively, the numbers stack up. We're close to Penrith in terms of leaking points. So it's not because we're dreaming. It's because there's factual evidence. But I suppose we want to kind of be cautious at the same time as doing this. But how do you see? We just talked that we believe that the Titans will win that game. Now we've got a run here with the Tigers, Seagulls, and Dragons and Dolphins, which is favourable if we're being honest. We're playing, teams in the bottom 8, and in particular the Tigers and Dragons will be at the very bottom. So how do you see that run going out? Do you see a loss in there, or are you quite quietly confident that we'll reach 5-0 in this part of the season?
I mean, you just have to be confident that this is a 5-0 period. Look, anything less really wouldn't be. I don't think at the moment would be acceptable really to the WAS community because.
Yep.
And look, no disrespect, but look, you couldn't ask for a more softer run in a challenging competition like the NRL than what we've got coming up as well. And that's no disrespect to those teams, but they're in various states of disarray, some of them, and then some of them just had a sort of inconsistent period as well. So yeah, I definitely believe that we should get the job done with a view of I guess there's some corridor about is the run too soft? Is it going to challenge us to get to playoffs? Yes and no, but you can't deal with that, right? Like that's just what it is. They've just got to, if anything, make the most of this opportunity to firmly land in the top 4, because it's all good to make the 8. And look, someone said you make the 8, or you've come 8th at the start of the season. We would have shaken their hand and said, "Yep, we'll take that," and chanced it on a kind of do or die basis. But the reality now is the way we've played and how the season set up at the end. Nothing. Well. If we were to not make the top 4, there would be an element of disappointment.
Yeah, I think so. I was talking to Sammy Hewitt last week, and it's like, yeah, we kind of forget. Our previous predictions were probably I was around 12th, but each door we've gone through, we've closed behind it and forgotten it, and actually we're dealing with what is presented, and what's presented is a top four opportunity. So I'm with you. I do feel as though that we will kind of go 5-0. What's some key indicators for you to kind of? I know that's not a challenging run home. I think there's other top 8 teams that are going to have really good matchups to see how they stack up. Despite that, what do you think is some good indicators that will benefit us when we do come across the other top 4 or top 8 teams that you want to see in this run here?
Yeah, man. I guess first and foremost is defence, right? Like limiting the score. You know, it's easy to say, just limiting tries against us, and not necessarily just the tries, but the nature, of those tries as well. So I guess they're going to have to focus on keeping that resilient shape, nullifying attack, and probably have to do it very, very good, because the teams that they're going to meet, in the playoff series will obviously have a more elite attack. So we're going to have to be prepared for what's to come. But probably defence straight away. Like if you were to win all 5 games, but you beat them, you beat a Manly 40-38. You wouldn't feel confident that you'd be able to take that form into a playoff game. So really, first of all, just defence really for me is probably the big thing.
Yeah, I've said actually I would love to see a total points against 50. So that would be average 10 points a game. I've said 60 just sometime. 50 to 60 would be great. 2 converted tries. I think that's fair. That to me would be a good sign. I mean, that's what Penrith is kind of averaging, and based on the opposition, I would expect something similar. But I'm all with you. It's about defence and how those tries are scored even as well. That was disappointing last week, 2 weeks ago against the Raiders. That effort where, that brought back a little bit of trauma for a lot of people in that fashion.
Yeah.
So I think you're absolutely right. It's about maintaining that defensive resilience, all the principles, while not leaking in, error-ridden, bad read type tries. I'd rather prefer a try come off of, 5 sets defending on our defensive line than a, kind of shifting early, that type of thing. So yeah, I'm totally with you, man. I think we'll go now into the teams that you think are kind of are building. I mean, there's the top 4 teams. I'm very wary of them. They've beaten us. I respect them. Is there some other teams that you kind of see coming through on that ladder that might be a little bit of a threat as well later on?
Yeah. So I mean, we start with those teams that are hovering around the sort of 5 to 9 space. If we just look at those teams, I mean, straight away, the Knights jump out, right, as over the last few weeks as a team that's playing really good football. Obviously off the back of KP, Kalen Pong has come back, through his challenges this year, but just shows, his brilliance as well and what they do, and when they get going forward, and they have, they've got a real tough spine, especially tough 6 and 7 in there as well. Gamble,
they are.
He plays hard, as well. So, I think they're a team that could will definitely cause issues. In that gap there, obviously the Cowboys too. They had a blip last week, but from all accounts, they've got the power, the size, the speed. I think that can trouble most teams as well. Yep. And if anything, a lot of the pundits have said, look, they are probably the team, if anyone, outside of maybe the top 2 or 3 that could take on the Panthers, for example. So, yeah, the other teams around that sort of 5 to 9, I'm not. You never say never, but we've shown we can handle the Sharks, we can handle the Eels. We can handle the Raiders. We got very lucky, but I think we can handle the Raiders as well. So from that bottom part, they're the 2 that really scare me.
Yeah, the Knights are kind of a team that I kind of enjoy watching. Actually, happy for Kalen, his kind of resurgence, and the team as well. They're kind of a very structured team. I think Hastings and Gamble have been really solid for them. So they would be a team I would be worried to see. I think they probably have the right balance defensively and attack to get a job done. I want to get your thoughts on obviously the Panthers are the top team. They have the quality, and it looks hard from an outside, looking in, to think that you could beat them. You might beat them 1 out of 10 or something, whatever, if you had a series of games. But the Broncos and maybe the Storm, they look reasonably like we've played the Storm, and we almost pipped them if injuries and sin bins didn't happen, that type of thing. Broncos kind of similar, although they were missing Reece Walsh and a few Origin players, so hard to get a gauge, but they still look beatable. Do you think we kind of have a right to kind of think that we could beat those two teams?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the Storm hoodoo is one of the challenges, right? Is this getting over the clinical nature of the Storm. You're right. We came very close this season, and we're a more progressed team than we were then as well. But yeah, just with the Storm, I think we can. They do have quality. They're a team. When you look at their spine, for example, you've got extreme quality in there with Harry Grant, Jerome Hughes, and Cameron Munster, who still just defies abilities to be the biggest player on the field, right? And then I think the biggest issue we had that night was we couldn't deal with Nass, right? We couldn't deal with the bollocking runs of Nelson as well. So yeah, there are tools that would challenge us, but yeah, I do feel there will be an equal share. We would go into a game against them at 50-50. I reckon we could hold our own. And yeah, I do support your thought on the Broncos. I mean, the Broncos have been great, right? They've been they deserve to sit where they are. They've had a fantastic season, but I still think if you can get the Broncos into a grind, you might, just with the younger nature of the team as well. I think you can, things don't go their way. They've gone off the boil in games when, obviously when Reece has, been dragged down, got into some moaning, that kind of immature behaviour as well. If things aren't going to go their way, and Warriors are a team, well, I don't think it was a fair reflection when we played them in Napier, because with both my best teams. But yeah, we'd have a style of game that could frustrate them. And so I think, and if we were to go there, me and Jed have been talking about this. We finish third, they finish second, and we go to Suncorp. I'd fancy our chances in Suncorp. Suncorp is, Brisbane is like a second home for the Warriors. They're comfortable there. They get a big crowd. So yeah, I think that'd be okay. And then Penrith, wow, I mean, we'd have to unpack that in a bit more detail, but that's a different story. Yeah.
We'll leave that for another day. That one, for sure. But we'll do a ladder prediction now. Me and you, if we don't mind. We'll go into that, guys.
Bro.
Sounds good. Okay, guys, pulling up the ladder predictor here. I thought this would be just a cool activity for us to do. We're just going to predict every outcome of every game going into this last 5 rounds. I'm sure you've probably already done this. I've done this about maybe 10 times with every possible outcome. I've done a bit of a Doctor Strange here, trying to find the loophole, but it all looks kind of good. But we'll just do it now, man. Look, we'll just off the top of your head, we'll go through each one quickly, and then we'll move it through. Roosters v Seagulls this Thursday.
Yeah, I'm going to go Roosters here, eh?
Yeah, I'm pretty confident with the Roosters. They look solid. They just kind of, I suppose, just got away from the Broncos. Are that explosive, eh? But I think they probably match up well with the Seagulls, and they're not done, the Roosters, in my eyes. So I'm with you there. We've got the Warriors. Pretty confident about that. Panthers Storm. That's a beauty, mate. What's your thoughts there?
A beauty. Well, the Panthers just have their number, eh? I think.
Yep.
And Nathan's back, so it's Panthers all the way, eh?
Panthers it is, guys. Another one, Cowboys Broncos, man. What do you think of that one?
What a game. Well, before last week, I would have said, the Cows could get them. But you know what? I think the Cows will get up. The Cows will be at home. They'll be hurting from last weekend, so What do you reckon, bro?
No Val Holmes? Too much, you reckon? Or what? I heard he's out, eh?
Safe money's probably Broncos, right? They'll be the favourites.
We would love to see the Broncos lose because, like you said, there's chinks in that armour mentally. I would love to see a Cowboys. So we going Cows there, or what do you reckon?
We'll go for the ladder predictor. We'll go safe money.
Yeah, we'll go safe money. Yep, sounds good.
Yeah.
Dolphins and Knights. That's a nice little one. I've got Knights.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I got Knights. I think the Finns have starting to figure out the season's pretty tough, but
yep. I'll go with Knights as well. Rabbitohs Sharks.
Well, one team is just going backwards, out of this top 8, and and look, it doesn't get any easier, man. Trail's back, so
yeah,
go Rabbits.
Yeah, go Rabbits there. Eels Dragons. I'll probably go Eels there.
Yeah, and this is kind of last chance saloon for these guys. They can't
they'll
lose
be
any
desperate.
more game.
They'll be desperate. Yep. Raiders Tigers. Probably go with the Raiders.
I'm surprised there's even a button to choose the Tigers, bro. I think it's just automatic.
Just have an X over here. No option. No NA. Not applicable. Yeah, no. All good. Okay, that does that one. So that puts us on 32. Okay, keep it moving. The following week, Sea Eagles Panthers.
Boom, Panthers, brother.
Panthers, yep. Sharks Titans.
Yeah. I think I'm going to go Sharks. I think we'll distinguish the Titans' hopes on the weekend, and so once they're out of the calculations, then they'll be on Mad Monday.
Broncos Eels. I think we were safe to say Broncos there.
Yeah, I think the Bronx there, mate.
Yep.
And I think you got the Rabbits next week, and then
Yep.
You're getting along to the Tigers' home game.
No, I muffed it. I muffed the kick, mate. I booked the trip down to Christchurch for my wife's birthday. So I've muffed I've missed the field goal in front. Yeah, priorities, but
that's right, bro.
I would have gone, brother.
No, you banked that. you banked that field goal for another time.
Yeah, banked it for golden point another time.
Yeah.
Okay, I've gone Rabbits and Warriors. Yep. Roosters, Dolphins. Confident Roosters kick on.
Yeah. I think just Roosters will be sniffing to that kind of last hope.
Storm Raiders. It's probably Storm, eh?
It's just this is at Amy Park. That's the only reason I'd say that. But
yeah.
Although I just don't like the Raiders' attack, and I just don't feel their attack warrants high spot. But hey, look, they've been effective and they're a hard team to beat.
Yeah, we'll go Storm there. Knights Bulldogs. I'll safely say Knights there.
Yeah, Knights there.
I think they're going to build it,
and it just makes that bottom 5-8 kind of that scenario just even more tastier when you've got teams winning and vying for the last spots. Okay,
Cowboys Sharks. Man, Sharks are doing well to stay alive.
Got to
be Cows in that situation. I think they will want to push hard. Warriors Seagulls, we're pretty confident with that. I think so.
And I'm hoping that the Seagulls are done then. They'll be out of the calculations, and we owe them. We owe them so many times. We need to beat those guys. We have Dylan Walker's first game against them, so the boys will
that'll be beauty. Yep, absolutely. Eels, Roosters, you think Eels done by then, or they'll be pushing hard, I suppose, at Combank?
At Combank, it could be last chance, eh? So whoever loses, that's gone, so let's get Eels,
I think we'll go with the Eels with that one. Tigers, Dolphins, probably get Dolphins there, doesn't really matter. Titans, Panthers. Tits for a nah. We'll go Panthers there, guys. We're not being silly. Dragon Storm. I'll go Storm, obviously.
Stormage.
This is a good one, mate. I think Knights, Rabbitohs at that time of year. Sharks, Knights at home.
Yeah, I just think Rabbits will be building. Ready for playoffs.
I think so. I'm with you there. They'll want to make a statement.
It will be about four weeks in.
Yeah, they'll want to make a statement on that one, especially. Raiders, Bulldogs, go. You got to go with the Raiders right now.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, well
yeah.
that's easy.
And look
easy
at that, the
pickings.
Broncos. I don't know how the Broncos have managed this whole season. I think they've left the Queensland twice. They get a late in the season bye. But hey, that's what happens when you're one of the biggest clubs.
It was the most rigged
biggest fan bases.
schedule, man. I think what was it Kevy Walters was probably overlooking. Was he in the meeting when they were organising? And he was vetoing everything. No, that doesn't work for us. Sorry, guys. We're gonna keep it in Queensland.
No, we need a 10-day turnaround. So yeah,
yeah, we need 10 days. Okay, man. Here we go. Panthers Eels. Stick with the Panthers.
Yeah, go Panthers there, bro.
Yep.
They're
Warriors Dragons. That's easy.
That's us, bro. At Mount Smart, yes.
I'm going Cowboys, Dolphins. I think Cowboys will go with that one. Just that they need to push on.
Yeah.
All those top 8 teams will be pushing hard. Storm Titans, same
Pushing
again.
hard,
Yep. Roosters, Tigers. I think we stick with Roosters.
Yeah.
Raiders,
there.
Broncos. Do you think the Raiders try and push here, or that's a tough one?
I reckon they will, and I reckon it's a hard road trip for them. And it's cold, and they're going to be at GIO Stadium. And yeah, I've got a feeling.
Yep. We'll go Raiders there, I think. I'm like you. I think that time of season they'll want to do a big push there. Seagulls, Bulldogs, go with the Seagulls. Knights, Sharks. That's another one where you think if the Sharks have got some life in them, or do you think the Knights put that one to bed?
I just think the Knights won't be too strong for them at home there.
Yep. I'm
and
with you,
sitting
man.
in the 8.
Yep, absolutely. Last round here, Broncos Storm. Sheesh. Potentially a third place if they get the points differential. You going Broncos there?
Yeah. Oh, just thinking 2 losses in a row. Storm love playing at Suncorp as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Just maybe make it interesting if you chose the Storm, because it might mix up our top 4,
that'll be interesting. We'll have a
second
look
and third.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. We'll put that in there. Seagulls, Tigers. We'll just move this along. Seagulls,
yeah.
Rabbits, Roosters. You reckon the Roosters will score the party or nah? Done by then.
They'll try to, but nah. Rabbits will be too strong.
Yeah. Dolphins, Warriors. I think we got that one in the bag by then. I think the Dolphins.
Yeah,
done.
yeah.
Panthers, Cowboys. Yep. You think Cowboys are on the 8?
Wow, this has been an interesting scenario because the Panthers won't need to play stars. They'll have the option to.
They've got 42.
Well,
they should be in the lead.
Yeah, but I mean, you've got to probably just bank that the Panthers roll on. They just
probably will. I'll give the Knights over Dragons, and the Titans over Bulldogs. I'll go Titans there at home. Sharkies at PointsBet. Out of the 8. You think Raiders kick on, or the Sharks do a number there?
Yeah, Raiders get up. I think the Raiders will get on if they're kind of still in the 8 versus Sharks out of the 8.
Okay, there you go. Go guys.
That's it, isn't it?
That's it, I think. We would end on 40 points in second, mate. That would be great, wouldn't it? A home final. Oh, wouldn't we love that? So we're saying the Storm are going to do us a favour on that one.
And the Raiders the week before as well. So, I mean, it does mean a couple of favours. But, that just shows they've got 2 hard games, 2, rival top 8 teams that they're going to have to overcome. Who knows?
Yep. And then your finals week 1 would be Panthers, Storm, Rabbitohs, Cowboys, Raiders, Knights, Warriors, and Broncos at Eden Park. What's your thoughts on that, bro? Do you think we go to Eden Park or we stay at the home? Can the NRL actually force you? Can they actually force us to go to Eden Park? Is that true? Or what's the deal with it?
I don't think they can. I'm not sure, bro. I don't think they can. I mean, they secure the semi-finals and the final, right? So the prelim finals and the finals in Sydney. So, I can't think they can. But you'd have to go to the home. You've got to go home.
Yeah,
but maybe get those extra seats like they had for the All Blacks. They had another 10,000 or whatever. So that'd be good.
No, very cool, man. Okay, guys, that was a little bit of exercise. Hope you enjoyed that. We finished in second, so book that in. Go to the bookies, get it done, get your money. We're predicting second. Well, really third, I think, to be honest. But exciting times, really cool games. Actually,
probably the third. We'll take it.
We'll take either. Okay, man, we're nearly done anyway. But any concerns or any thoughts that may concern you at this time of year or?
Well, just the one concern I have is if we just lose one player.
Mm.
And I shouldn't say it, I'm going to touch wood and everything, but
Yeah, me
you
too.
know,
I've got some wood here.
the opportunity to go as far as possible is down to the health of Sean Johnson. You know, I just, you know, we just don't have cover for Shawnee, and Shawnee's playing at a certain level which would probably everyone's agreed his best in terms, you know, like obviously we've seen his highlights, we've seen his early career, everything, we've seen him playing, but his most influential right now. So yeah, and like you can say that for a lot of teams and a lot of players as well, but Shawnee for this team is key. So you know, that's the only concern, and that's the ongoing concern every week, every time something happens. But look, I think they've managed him well, and he seems to be pretty fit. So that, and the only other thing I'm just thinking about is how do we get better? You know, and I think we've shown the progression from the start of the season. You know how we were playing, and you probably, you know, you're good at this, bro. You analyse kind of what's going on, but you get a sense that, you know, sort of every 5 to 6 rounds there's a style of play, and then the good teams take it up another level. They find other ways to break down defences, and then you keep moving as well, and we've done that as well. So it's just whether we can go to another level, but also recognise all the good things we've developed this season and know how to apply that. So you know, we've been really awesome in the middle when we needed to be, you know, and then next thing you know, we were talking about it on various podcasts, we're getting shape out the back. That's amazing. And you know, and Chance chiming in. So it's kind of how do we keep all those tools and you know, be able to apply them in the right context each time we're coming up against a new team, a new defence. So just interested to see if we've got another level to go.
Yeah, I was really impressed. I think the Broncos game, I noticed when I was watching the videos that we kept going out the back all the time through Tohu. But pretty much after that game, they kind of changed the model. I think, well, Tohu was still involved, but he kind of picked his moments a bit better. And I think Sean actually started to take over a little bit more. And I think that's been the key is getting halves to get the ball. I was talking to Willie Mason, and he was talking similar about the origin. They tried to play through, who was it? Yo. In that first or second, and it becomes predictable when you're playing that shape all the time. And I think you know you got to get away from predictability more than ever right now. And I think we've, like you said, there's been levels that we've developed that we're starting to get, you know, this nice movement on the left side with Metcalf. He's popping up, and support play's never been better. But like you said, I think there may be more levels to go in terms of even our attack, but defensively, you just want to see that consistency as well. So, I don't think it's Sorry, you broke. Go, please.
I was going to say just with sorry, bro. I was just going to say just with the various styles of attack and playmakers in the attack, where we've got multiple. You know, I just think it's an ability to understand in game. You know, what is the best approach. And what frustrated me last week is that we early scored a try off Wade Egan's great ball movement out of dummy half, but then we didn't seem to go back to that, go back to the well, you know, which worked quite well. You know, sometimes it was off a, you know, quick play the ball, whatever it may be, but you know, I think it's just making sure that you might have a way of playing, but in game, actually that's working. Let's keep doing that as well, rather than we did that there, and then let's go to our other shape as well because maybe it was in the footage and we've been practicing that as well. So I just think if the smart teams, you know, the Storm back in the day with Cameron Smith, like they just said, right, this is working, this is how we're going to play. Oh no, on the fly, that's not working. This has got to work. And then make those adjustments, and the quicker we can do that, because we've just got great tools. You know, Wade's been awesome. You know, you got Tohu, you got Dylan Walker in there. Obviously, you got Shawnee. You know, you got Chance wrapping around. We've got Lukey with his, you know, with his support run. So there's plenty of attacking out there, though.
Yeah, I think like you're absolutely right. I was thinking, you kind of. The Sharks was a good game where we did do that. We kept going to Moylan's edge and we kept pounding that away. Like we saw what you know, the target area. But like you were right, we went against our Raiders a little bit. I think we're going to come all right. I think this run here is going to be really good. I think even it's going to be when we get to the finals. It'll be different to what we experienced against when we played this. If we do come up against the Storm or even Panthers, that isn't the same product we played. The style we played with back then. It's going to be very different. I think there will be a chance there. But like you say, just got to keep building, keep developing, man. But apart from that, man, how's the season been for you, bro? It's been an insane season, eh? Can you wrap your head around it?
No, not really, to be fair. So many seasons, especially from a content podcasting point of view that I've been doing with the bros at Warriors Anonymous. There's been some dark times. As you said, what does the Anonymous stand for? Is it a support group? Is it a drinking alcoholics group for Warriors? At times it was, and it was, but I just keep saying, you just got to enjoy it, sitting down and just going each week, 80 minutes of awesome football, and it's not being predictable in terms of we're going to win all the time. But we don't win all the time, but we're going to win a few times. But just really enjoy that and enjoy the fact that the team is going well. The culture of the joint is really good. The buy-in from everyone. They talk about bandwagons and people just jumping in halfway through the season, but hide MI, come on board. It is so good. And for me personally, it's like, elevating rugby league, I love rugby. Rugby's a great sport. I love it. But I guess this product of rugby league is far superior. And, I hope this momentum, continues to grow and we grow the capability of rugby league. There will be a time when there's another New Zealand team and there's going to be some hard decisions to make for people. But, hey, look, that's a good problem to have. So, yeah, just enjoy it, whānau. You deserve it. Actually, you deserve it.
Yeah. Believe in yourself. Love yourself. Eat, pray, love, whatever that thing is. No, but while we're on top of growth, those 5 teams, I just saw that the Warriors are putting out registrations now for the Harold Mats and the. How do you feel about? I just think that's amazing. Eh? How do you feel about the development pathways really starting to kick in here?
Oh, awesome, bro. We've got I've got whānau that have been in the system, young kids that have had decided to make the trip to Brisbane this year. 2 nephews have just recently signed for the Melbourne Storm as obviously youth contracted players as well. So awesome, a great opportunity for the boys. But look, you know, I think ultimately they would want to come back. Whānau's here as well, although they're loving being in Brisbane is amazing. But the fact that now, you know, look, over the COVID years was hard, so just the timing meant they had to go. But the reality is, getting the Harold Matts teams, the junior squads, of really the women's team back, it's so good. And more importantly, if I'll be really honest, it's a platform for our Māori and Pacifica whānau, right? Like, you know, for professional sport opportunities, because, you know, these opportunities aren't only just good for them, but they help to, you know, support whānau and family as well. And, you know, we all know that everyone in that community needs to leg up.
Oh, absolutely. I'm totally with you. I mean, we're going through, you know, an epidemic of Māori issues, crime, everything. And it's mainly directed to Māori and Pacifica. So the more we have pathways in New Zealand that are professional and elite, it's great for our Māori and Pacifica youth, you know. I just would love to go and see the trials and just see the kids there and see them just want to, you know, be a part of the system, and to know that they can do it while being at home in the nurture of their parents still. You know, they're still sensitive ages. You know, I think about guys like all the guys that have gone over to the Storm or the Roosters, you know, Joe Manu, they had to rough it out, you know. They really had to go live with, billeted out to, you know, other Kiwis. And, you know, that's a struggle for a lot of kids. I went to Aussie when I was in my 20s and I struggled. I just couldn't relate to the people there. Didn't understand the culture. So it's great to see what the Warriors are doing, man. I really do believe it's gonna help our Māori and Pacific people and the community, the wider community as well, man. So you summed it up very beautiful there. How's the podcast going, man? You guys are doing well. I mean, the Up the Wires, the song is just a classic now. How's Warriors Anonymous, man? You guys must be on fire right now, bro.
Oh, bro, it's all good. You know, we just gotta, you know, we just plod along with our weekly wrap up of what goes on as well, and sometimes our weird and wacky takes of things. But yeah, massive shout out to Jed, who's a creative, and we talked about this.
And this guy, man, he's
genius.
just too talented, man.
This guy.
I'm sick of this guy.
And look, yeah, just it was funny. The comments that he made, how many people have listened to it. But yeah, he's always thinking. You know, I don't know if you heard the other day we were talking about Adam Pompey. POMP, so he started kind of,
that was a good one,
man.
Man.
Be surprised if
We're gonna go
be surprised if something else comes out.
he's so good, man.
Yeah, the podcast is good, bro. You know, we just dribble along, and as I said, it's always this year's been good because we've been speaking really, really, really positively, but. At the heart of it, it's just, four lads generally just catching up that don't get to see each other that much. So, we get to talk our favourite topic.
No, man, it's a regular listen for me. I always wait for you guys to drop your episode, and it's the same for me, man. It's just guys talking footy. At the end of the day, we just want to hang out, and if we could talk Warriors all day, we would, or whatever else.
I must admit, we have a massive followership across all content. A lot of wahinis, man. A lot of females, really intelligent too. Most of us guys have got the buffy comments online, but the real good, insightful chat is from the wahinis, eh? So, shot you fellas.
No. Yep. Shout out to all our beautiful Mare Kura and wahine out there. And as well, it's good to talk other sports as well. Like you said, you've been getting into a little bit of the World Cup as well. That's exciting. You got a prediction there? Kind of who have you seen that's really sharp?
Well, I'm going to the round of 16 game next week, on the weekend down in Wellington, and I should have gone on Monday, but it was too cold. But Japan looked fire.
Yep.
Yeah, they've got that counter attack football going on, which I think for the women's game is probably. If you can master that, you can knock down all these good teams as well. So, I'm backing them in it. We get to see them on Saturday, which will be primo. And just real gutted for the football ferns. I mean, came very close to qualification, but also, big shout out to everyone. I mean, we didn't pack all the stadiums out, but it was looking a bit ropey. But I think everyone's just enjoyed it, and I just love live sports, man. Now I'm watching the netball, obviously in South Africa, but just sport 24/7. Bring it. So love it.
I'm with you, man. And guys, that wraps up our podcast. I'm really grateful again to Daniel to come on. We talked about it, and it's been great that I think we said a 4-1 in the last run, and we're pretty much bang on. Now we're saying 5-0, guys. We got it right, man. I think we got it exactly right too, bro. I think we got it. We knew we'd struggle against the South, and then we would carry the rest. So head on to the TAB, guys.
Hopefully, bet responsibly, people.
Bet responsibly where you are. But no, I do appreciate you, brother. We'll tee it up another time. Finals run. Why don't we do something around that time, man? That would be good to have as many content creators but I appreciate your time, bro. That wraps up the Wise Up podcast, and we'll get on out of here. Peace.